Hey, I hope you're having an amazing day today. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the different types of Aussiedoodles, specifically the generations. So let's get straight into the video. Are all Aussiedoodles the same regarding coat type, being hypoallergenic, and even non-shedding? Obviously, the answer is no, and it highly depends on what type of generation the Aussiedoodle is. Since the Aussiedoodle is a crossbreed between the Australian Shepherd and a Poodle, genetics play a huge factor in terms of what the makeup / personality and even just how the coat is surrounding that Aussiedoodle. So the standard way to explain the genetic makeup of a dog is through cryptic letters, for example, such as an F1B Aussiedoodle or an F1 Aussiedoodle. It's important that you understand these letters and numbers, such as F1 or F1B, for example, so that you can really understand the genetic makeup of these Aussiedoodles, and it'll give you kind of a sense of how and what their lifestyle will be like, not only for themselves, but also with you. So what does the F stand for? In the name F1B Aussiedoodle, the F stands for filial hybrid. This may sound complicated, but it just means that it is a hybrid dog. So all Aussiedoodle generations will begin with an F just because it is a crossbreed. It is a hybrid between, again, an Australian Shepherd and a Poodle. In other words, they are not a purebred dog. So then what does the B stand for? For an F1B Aussiedoodle, the B stands for back cross. Back cross is a complex term, but it just means that the dog was bred back to a purebred dog, such as a 100% Australian Shepherd or a 100% Poodle. Almost always an F1B Aussiedoodle is back cross to a 100% Poodle, mainly because a Poodle is more hypoallergenic and does not shed a lot. Here's a quick reference that I'm gonna put up on the screen of the genetic breakdown of each Aussiedoodle generation. F1 Aussiedoodle is 50% Poodle and 50% Australian Shepherd. F1B Aussiedoodle is 75% Poodle and 25% Australian Shepherd. F1BB Aussiedoodle is 87.5% Poodle and 12.5% Australian Shepherd. And F2 Aussiedoodle is 50% Poodle and 50% Australian Shepherd. F2B Aussiedoodle, 62.5% Poodle, 37.5% Australian Shepherd, and so on for the next two. So I'm not gonna go into each and every one of these generations, but I'm just gonna go over four. And from these four, I'm sure you guys could get a sense of what the others are like. So let's get straight into it, starting off with an F1 Aussiedoodle. An F1 Aussiedoodle is 50% Australian Shepherd and 50% Poodle. Because the genetic makeup is half and half, it is kind of a basically toss up, a coin flip onto what type of fur / coat that they will get. An F1 Aussiedoodle can have a straight coat and even shed like crazy, just like an Australian Shepherd, or it can have a little bit more curly coat, just like a Poodle, and not shed as much. Here are the F1 Aussiedoodle characteristics. One, their coat type, again, it could be unknown. It is a toss-up. It could be straight, wavy, or curly. Number two, non-shedding is not guaranteed. It could shed lots of hair or not at all, again, because of that 50% toss-up. And third, not guaranteed if it is hypoallergenic. It could be more hypoallergenic if it receives more genetics from the Poodle side, and obviously not if more from the Australian Shepherd side. Next comes the F1B Aussiedoodle. So the F1B Aussiedoodle is 75% Poodle and 25% Australian Shepherd. A lot of people go with the F1B Aussiedoodle because it is one of the most hypoallergenic and non-shedding of the generations. With an F1B Aussiedoodle, there are some distinct features that you will notice on your dog. First, F1B Aussiedoodles will almost always have curly or wavy hair because of the Poodle side. This means that this dog will very unlikely shed. The downside of an F1B Aussiedoodle is that because it is a non-shedding dog and very hypoallergenic, and because the coat is very wavy and curly, you have to brush and maintain that coat daily, and also set up grooming appointments monthly. Secondly, F1B Aussiedoodles are likely to inherit the personality and also temperament of a Poodle. It's likely that they will be taller in stature, have a lot of energy, and will likely require a lot of exercise mentally and physically because of the amount of energy that he or she will have. And I've talked about this a lot in previous videos, that if your dog requires a lot of stimulation and if those needs are not met, he or she will likely have destructive behavior around the house. The F1B Aussiedoodle characteristics include Coat type, wavy or curly like a poodle. Non-shedding, almost always have a non-shedding coat. Hypoallergenic, almost always hyperallergenic. The next generation of Aussiedoodle that I'll be talking about is the F1BB Aussiedoodle. The F1B Aussiedoodle is 87.5% poodle and 12.5% Australian Shepherd. The F1BB Aussiedoodle is the most non-shedding and hypoallergenic generation of all the Aussiedoodles. This Aussiedoodle will almost always have extremely curly hair, so if you do get an F1BB Aussiedoodle, you will have to brush your dog daily and again set up monthly appointments to keep the coat maintained. If the coat isn't maintained, as you guys can really attest from watching previous videos with Jaxon, their coat will get very much so matted, and it can be very tight around the dog's body and also very detrimental to the dog for living his or her life. This Aussiedoodle generation is best for people with extreme and bad dog allergies, and also for people that don't like to vacuum dog hair around the house. The F1B Aussiedoodle characteristics include coat type, it is very much so curly like a poodle. Non-shedding, almost always non-shedding. 3, hypoallergenic, almost always hypoallergenic. And the last generation of Aussiedoodle that I'll be talking about is the F2 Aussiedoodle. The F2 Aussiedoodle is 50% poodle and 50% Australian Shepherd. It is the second filial generation of an Aussiedoodle. The F2 Aussiedoodle is very much so similar to the F1, but a lot of breeders don't like to breed an F2 just because it is very much so unknown on what you can get in terms of temperament, personality, and coat type. And in addition, if you have mild dog allergies or just dog allergies in general, you might not want an F2 just because of the whole toss-up between whether or not it will be hypoallergenic or not. The F2 Aussiedoodle characteristics include coat type, highly variable and unpredictable. It could be straight, wavy, or curly. Non-shedding, very unpredictable. Hypoallergenic, very unpredictable too. So after talking about some generations of Aussiedoodles, it really poses the question, should you get an F1 or an F1B Aussiedoodle? Well, if you don't really care about the shedding and you really like the straight look of the coat of an Australian Shepherd, then I definitely suggest getting an F1 Aussiedoodle. However, again, if you have mild allergies or have dog allergies in general and you don't really like the hair on furniture or you don't like the shedding, then I definitely suggest getting an F1B Aussiedoodle. Jaxon here, if you guys don't know, is an F1B Aussiedoodle, and aside from his puppy coat shedding at the beginning, in addition to me having mild dog allergies, ever since then I've had no problems with Jaxon in terms of dog allergies. He does shed a little bit. Obviously no dog is completely non-shedding, but it is very minimal that I find his hair around the apartment or the house. But on top of that, right now he is shaved, but when he did have his fluff and his nice fluffy coat, I did have to brush him every single day, and once he does grow back his fluff back, I'm gonna be setting up grooming appointments every month or every other month just to have that maintained. So if you're thinking about an Aussiedoodle, think about the generations and also think about what lifestyle you would like. Do you want a more energetic one? It really comes down to non-shedding or shedding and what type of fur that you prefer, rhyming accidentally. So definitely think about that. But yeah, guys, that concludes today's video. Please let me know down below if you have any questions regarding the generations, and if you have a preference, please comment down below what your favorite preference is. As a reminder, please hit that like button as it really helps in the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new here, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button too, as it really means a lot to Jaxon and me. Also, I've created an Aussiedoodle lovers/owners Facebook group, so please join that group. We're gonna create this community. The link is in the description. Once you join, if you have an Aussiedoodle, feel free to post a picture of your Aussiedoodle friend. Tell your dogs you love them. Jaxon, I love you. We're gonna go to the dog park today. Thank you for watching and have an amazing day. Yay for Jaxon. Yay. Yay for a good boy. Jaxon. Good boy.